Ah, so you wish for a tale of daring-do, love, and, daring-do. Well, I believe I have just the thing. Are you sitting comfortably? It all began, as it so often does, with a girl. Was it a boy? No, this time it was a girl. I'd been seeing her for rather a long time, at least a week, only to discover that I was not her only suitor. My honour had been besmirched, and naturally I did the only reasonable thing, demanded satisfaction. There was to be a duel, me in my modified Kreuzer Spinne, Helena, and him in his Theler Kobra MD. I took off in good spirits to the duelling grounds, confident it would be a clean and simple affair. These hopes were dashed, however, when I rolled a 7 on my engagement roll. Unbeknownst to me, he was in my blind spot, behind and below, closing for the kill. But at the very least, the fool had given me an altitude advantage. If I survived his opening volley, I would be in excellent position to turn things around. His guns rattled, and I took fire. He missed mostly, but one unlucky round crit Helena's fuel tank. I stepped hard on the rudder, rolling over and summoning every ounce of daring I had to turn the tables, force him into a head-on pass. I rolled an 8, not quite good enough. So, I pulled hard on the stick, committing to the turn and bleeding free speed. My vision went grey and I was forced back into my seat from the G-force, but a partial success was worth it. We charged head-on and opened fire, then jinked right, evading the danger of collision. I swear we came so close I could have reached out and punched him. Probably should have, for all the good my bullets did. I straightened out, letting the engine cool off and colour return to my vision. That had been too close. This was no spring chicken. Unfortunately, this little breather gave him all the time he needed to reload his gun, and to come back around to have another go. I scanned the skies, searching for where he could be, but I rolled an 8 on my eyeball, and the answer came in a hail of bullets. Again, my quick thinking and his poor aim saved me from the worst, and I yanked Helena around to try and turn the tables. To no avail, and once more he filled the air with lead. I tried to turn the tables again, desperately pulling Helena around the sky to take a shot. A success, but I missed the deflection, and very few rounds found their target. But now I saw an opportunity. I pushed Helena into a dive to gain the speed to dogfight and make an attack. 14, but instead of taking a shot, I committed to the turn, pulling tightly, bleeding speed to ensure a full success. I opened fire, raking his wings of gunfire, then followed his pitiful attempts to evade. Again I opened fire, rendering his fuselage into something more suitable for straining spaghetti than flight. He straightened out, and I pulled up to knife range, letting loose with guns. He had whipped out a pistol, the last hope of a defeated man. I drew a bead and fired, shredding his tail, but one of his frenzied pistol shots had found home in my gun, knocking it out of commission. I was down to one gun, and very little ammo. I rolled back in, letting loose another squirt. Then I held off, waiting for his white flare of surrender. When none came, I emptied the last of my round into one, and watched with no small amount of satisfaction as the wings came tumbling forth. The inevitable had happened. I had won. I am an honourable man. I am not vainglorious in victory. So I did the noble thing, and decided to offer him a lift back to town. Had I known our flame would abscond in the night with some maker of games, I wouldn't have been so gallant. But alas, I did not. So, I brought Helena in and made a perfect 3-point landing. Why don't I still have her? Well, you see, due to that minor nick to the fuel tank earlier, by the time we returned to Helena, she was drained of juice, and I was forced to abandon her to the wilds. Yes, that's what happened. Definitely. So, there we were, the pair of us, stranded in the middle of the wilds at night. And that, my dear children, is how I met your father. How did we get home, you ask? Well, I think that's a story for another time.